Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over basic maths operations and basic formulas inside of Excel. So you can see we have two tabs. First tab here is our basic maths operations, addition, subtraction, division and the rest. And then using this table of data, we're going to use all of these basic formulas and we'll get you a better understanding of Excel. So in Excel, we start our basic operations or formulas using the equal sign. And here, for example, I'm going to say 6 plus 6. So 6 plus 6 equals 12. This is great. Next, in Excel, you can reference, instead of directly putting the numbers into your formula, you can use cell references to add. So equals this cell plus this cell, 16. So 8, 8, 16. Perfect. So we're going to run through the rest to see what they look like. So equals, for example, here, 9 minus 9, 0. That's perfect. And also with subtraction, you can reference other cells. So equals this cell minus this cell. So 14 minus 6 is 8. That's brilliant. When you're doing division, you want to go and format the cells to have a number value. Otherwise, sometimes they can spit out a date. So if you ever have that happen, you know what's going on now. So here, we want to do 25 divided by 5. So equals 25 divided by 5 is 5. So that's brilliant. And again, we're just going to show you what referencing two cells into an operation looks like. So equals 49 divided by 7 gives you, sorry, that's my mistake, gives you 7. Excellent. In Excel, you can also express answers as a percentage. This is particularly handy with division. If you're doing reports, you might want to have a percentage increase or decrease. So let's take this one earlier we used. So equals 25 divided by 5. That's 500% once you click the percent button onto the cell. Again, you can do it down here as equals 10 divided by 130. Sorry. 10 divided by 130. That'll give you your decimal. You click your percent. So basically, 10 is 8% of 130. Next, we're moving on to multiplication, which you want to do by just putting an asterisk between the two numbers you want to multiply. So equals 6 times 6, 36, which we know to be correct. And again, you can reference cells to do this. So equals this cell, asterisk 6, 72. So 12 times 6, 72. And then the last one I want to show you off is a more complicated one you might not be using unless you're using scientific formulas or anything like that. So that's the power of. So equals 6, this little, don't know the name of it, pointy thing, and then 4. And that'll give you 6 to the power of 4, which is handy. And also you can do that by just referencing cells as well. There we go. So that's your basic maths operations for Excel. You'll be using them to add, subtract. You can also combine them into a single formula. So equals 12 plus 6 minus 4 times 2. So there you go, 10. So you can use them all together, you can spring them together, and it will output a answer for you there. Now we're going to jump into basic formulas. I have a tab here created for it. I have a list of basic formulas, some of the more easy formulas to perform. And I have a table of data here, which is incomplete, which you will help me complete today, just by working this through with me. We have a table of products sold. So each line is an individual sale made on a certain date. So see the first line, we sold jackets on this day for this amount per unit, and this is the amount of units bought that day. The description contains some information we'll come back to later, and the person who sold it, their name there. So say, for example, we go down to the end, we see in here there was 4 t-shirts sold for this price per t-shirt, grand, and the person who sold it again was James, very popular. So we're going to go through these formulas, simple formulas, and this is going to help you fill out the rest of the table, find useful information about the table and other useful information, some of the basics of the Excel formula. So we'll start straight away. Before we get going on the formula, I do want you to help me complete this row here. And we're going to use some of the basic maths operations we learned in table or in tab 1. So to get the total sales price, we need to know the price per unit, which we have. We need to know how many quantity was sold on that day, and that gives us our total sales price. So equals, we're going to take this tab or this cell and times it So use our multiplication sign by the quantity, and that'll give us the total sales price for that day. So we sold jackets, we sold one jacket at this price, this is how much we made. In Excel, you can also, instead of individually typing the formulas over and over again, if the same formula is going to apply for each of these, where it's this times this, this times this, you can go into the bottom right of the cell, get this thick cross, double click, and it'll autocomplete. So you can see in this cell here, it's taking the 28 unit price times the 8 sandals we sold here, and that'll give us the total. Right, so we're going to start with the formulas. So here, sum, this will give you a total amount or a total value of a range of cells if there's numbers in the cells. So we're going to use it to find how much in total sales we've got. So we're going to use equals sum. It'll open up, it'll give you instructions, add your numbers, but instead of numbers, we're going to put a range of cells. So we want to know of all of these total sales. Click enter. Normally you can close off the brackets here, but if you do leave it open, Excel will tell you, or it'll just do it automatically. It'll close it for you, as you see here. So the total sales of all the things sold here, you can see 3379.42 matches the sum. So sum is a great thing to have a total or subtotal on the end of a report. Today is just a lazy function. If you're not bothered finding out what day it is, or at the top of a spreadsheet, you just want to have something to print out the date, you can put in equals today, close the brackets, and it'll just give you today's date, which is very handy. So next formula we have, this is a very useful formula if you have cells of data that contain different subsets of data. So this is where we bring in our description here. So our description of this company's description has C949, that's the SKU number, so that's the item number in the shop. The jacket, so what was sold, and the size at the end, S for small, M for medium, L for large. You can use these formulas here to pull out data of the description if you ever need to, parse out some of your data. So this is what this looks like. So equal left, open the formula, it'll tell you what you need. So click a cell. So say this one here, jacket 949. Next thing it needs is a comma, and it needs a number of characters. So we want only the first 3 numbers. So we'll put in 3, we'll close, and we have 949. So you can separate out from this long list of description the SKU number, for example. And if you wanted to do that, you could insert column, you could put equals left, the description, how many characters, close it off, and just all the way down, and you could label this inside SKU number. So if you ever have data inside of a report that you can kind of parse apart, this will help you do it. Same thing for right, so equals right. This time it'll be reading from the right inwards instead of the left inwards. So on the right side, we have the size sold. So here we have S. So if we click on this, we put a comma. Size is only expressed in one character, S, M, or L. So we'll just put in one character because that's all we want to take out. And see here, it's returned an S. So again, you could go into your report and your description has so much information, you can pull stuff out. So we could say size, item sold, and you could do again your right, the description, and just one character. And then on the bottom right of the cell, double click that. And then you can see here, where there's a size included in the description, it'll return the size. Handbag doesn't have a size, that's fine, you just leave that blank. Right, moving on to mid. Mid is a slightly more complicated one, but this can be used if, for example, you wanted to have just the jacket and the size, or sorry, just the item and the size, and you wanted to remove the SKU number. Say the SKU number was an internal number, you didn't want a customer knowing. So you could put equals mid. It'll tell you, we need a certain text. So let's see what text, jeans. So we'll click 695-jeans-L. We put a comma. It'll give you instructions as you go, the start number. So where do you want the first thing returned? So here we have a SKU number we want to get rid of essentially. So you have 3 digits, 695. You have a space, that's 4 digits, dash, that's 5, and another space. So you want to remove kind of the first 6 digits. So start from the first 6 digits, comma again, and you want to return the rest of the information. So just put a large number so it captures everything else. So here it's returned without the SKU number, just the name of the item and the size. So you could have another, we're not going to do it, but you could have another column that will just have the item name and the size. Moving on to our next formula, count. So we'll put this in. Count is just going to count the amount of cells that you give it the value for. So if you click on any of these and drag it down, so dates, you can click on the dates, the range of dates, close this, you can get it to count. It's counted 22 individual cells that you have selected. Count A, we're going to move on to count A. So always start with an equals, count A, open up. So count A is just going to contain count the full cells. So see where we're missing information here. If we were to hover over all of this and click enter, why is this? Oh, because they're not empty. Try that again. So moving on to count A counts cells with just information in it. If it's completely blank, it won't count it. So for example, if we do count A and the sales reps, we have some sales reps names missing. That's for the purpose of showing off what count A does. We'll close this. And you can see, even though we have, say, 22 cells here going down, we're missing 3. So this will report back 19. Next is count if. Count if is a count function that has a condition to it. So it'll only perform the count if the condition is met. So say count if, we'll select a range here, the products. So we'll say these are the products. The criteria is we only want to count the jeans. So it has detected that we've sold 3 jeans, and you can see here 1, 2, 3. This is brilliant. Again, the opposite to count A is count blank. So this will return the number of cells that have no information in it. So we'll do it on the same, on the staff column again. So we'll hover over everything, pull it down, count blank. So we know that we have 22 cells. 19 of them, count A, are telling us that's full. So that means 3 is blank, and count blank is telling us that. Okay. So say, for example, you had a large list of data and you wanted to know what the maximum is, so the maximum price per unit or the maximum cells. I'll show you how to do that now. So equals max, we'll return that value. So you just want to go in, say, what was the largest amount of items sold at once? 9. So you can see here, 9. Or if you want to see max, what's your most expensive item? So the most per unit is 61.41. So see here, your jackets are your most expensive. Minimum just does the opposite. So I'm just going to show that quickly, where it's going to return to you the lowest value in a range. So again, we've asked it to give it the minimum of quantity, and you can see 1 was sold this day. So that's the lowest amount. You have it a couple of times, so it will return just 1. We're going to keep barreling through. Next is the average. So we'll get that ready and I'll tell you what it is. This is just going to give you a mean of the values. So if you say, look, what's the average value of the total sales price? Or even if you say, what's the average of the price per unit? So this is what the average cost of your item is. So out of your jeans, t-shirt, handbag, what's the average cost of these items? €41. So your lowest being €18, your highest being 61. So your average item sold in the shop will be €41. Now, unique is a particularly interesting one. This is handy for simplifying data. I'll have to do it on the right of the screen because it won't fit in. I'll move us over a slight bit. You can see here we've sold a bunch of handbags, a bunch of t-shirts, jackets, and you might want to know individually, what are we selling? We've got duplicates of sandals, duplicates of handbag. We just want a clean list of one of each item that we're selling. So we'll put unique. Sorry, let's see, char, unique. We'll go over, select the list, and unique will just give us back in a single list the items that have been sold. So we're selling jackets, t-shirts, jeans, handbags, and sandals. So here it's all duplicated. This will just remove the duplications from the list. and that's a handy one to have if you just want to check out what items you're selling. And the last simple one is handy if you're doing more complex formula. We won't be doing them in this video, but sometimes you'll have a formula that references a column that is very far to the right. So say if you have a report with 40 columns worth of data, I'm not saying you would, but say if you had data all the way over on the right, you'd want to know what column the data is in, what number column. So say, for example, equals column. We have data all the way over in column AB11. That would mean that if you had data over in AB11, you'd have data 28 columns over. So if you were to go over 28 times, that's where the data would be over in AB11. And that's handy for finding out what number the column is later on when I show you more advanced formulas. But no, everyone, thank you very much for watching basic maths operations and basic formulas videos inside of Excel.